Hi, this is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today I'm talking about planetary energies that will be affecting us and will continue to affect us. That's right, today we are talking about Neptune in retrograde, and I got some new updates for this, so I'm going to give you a whole rundown on kind of like the dates for Neptune in retrograde, and then we're going to be talking about what I've been seeing with my clients the last little bit. So Neptune went into retrograde March 7th of 2022. It went into full retrograde June 27th. It will be in full retrograde until December 3rd, and then it will be in post-shadow energy until March 24th, and then it'll be on its way again. So Neptune is like our planet of illusion or delusions, and kind of that I want my dream life to come into my regular life. I want to make some changes, but I'm not really sure how to do it. And it can make us really emotionally sensitive, which can also kind of bring up our dreams. And so our dreams, I guarantee you, since all of this started in March 7th, has been like, okay, this is a very interesting dream. I have also seen a pretty big uptake of people having dreams about aliens and UFOs and being taken. Even myself, I normally have quite a few of these, but I am like guarantee probably 75% more than I normally do, where I have seen them pick up people. I've talked to people, gotten messages from them, that sort of thing. So it's kind of just be prepared for this, like deep changes of like, wow, my thinking has really changed. I learned something new or different, and now this is going to change what I've been doing or how I've been living my life. And I also feel like a lot of these changes are kind of really updating or correcting kind of things that we've had in our life that's kind of like, wow, this is something new that I didn't know before, or I didn't realize this was affecting me the way it is, and people wanting to make some really, really important changes. I will tell you that kind of the interesting part is that Neptune is in retrograde in the sign of Pisces, which is all about flowing, and that's actually kind of given us more dreams than we normally do, and kind of giving us that like different side of dreams. Dreams can kind of be that that obscure things, or you're kind of like working through things in the back of your head. This is going to be kind of bringing in new thinking of kind of like, I want to update my thinking, I want to change my thinking, and I want to think new and different ideas. And so this one is kind of really coming at us, and I get that kind of like the big date that's going to be really kind of flipping for a lot of people is kind of like that middle of September, because in the middle of September, September 16th, our sun in the sign of Virgo will form an opposition with Neptune in retrograde, and this will make us feel a little more concerned about the world, our place in the world, not just like my physical place or my little person place in the world, but kind of like our United States, or our state of Texas, or the South United States kind of thing area. And you're going to see this in different areas of kind of like, I'm concerned about not just me, but my area. California, New York, there's going to be a lot of changing in that thinking of kind of like this global kind of like, I want to take care of my area. Maybe not global like the whole world, but global for that person. And I guarantee that there are going to be some really core changes coming in this. And I guarantee one of the things that's kind of, and people are going to be looking for that stabilization, someone to kind of like that voice of truth to come out. Where is that voice of truth coming from? Where is this coming in at? And I guarantee you this is going to be kind of like a really good stuck energy for people of kind of like changing their thinking, kind of thinking differently than they have in the past. And I always think changing your thinking isn't a bad thing, because usually people kind of get stuck in a rut of like they only think one way, and now this kind of gives us an opportunity to kind of see things in a different way. I also kind of feel like there is going to be a pullback, kind of like, let's come back from this, from people really wanting to watch movies. You've seen this with the pandemic and that sort of thing. A lot of people not going back to the theaters the way they used to, but then you've kind of had the uptick of people like streaming their videos at home and that sort of thing. And I guarantee you're going to kind of see that kind of come down a little bit, like still streaming, but maybe not as many back-to-back movies, television, theater kind of things, kind of like getting out of that life for a little bit and kind of looking at the illusion that it's caused you. Like, I've done this, I've watched this movie, but I haven't washed my dishes. I've done this, but I haven't taken care of what I know I'm supposed to be taking care of. And so people kind of flipping their thinking in that dimension of kind of making some core changes of, I'm now choosing to do things differently. And kind of one of the things I get is a lot of times when people are kind of like just streaming videos at home, it's almost they get like addicted to it. Like, they'll order in food and then they don't ever leave. They'll be there for like not just like 2 or 3 movies, you know, 6 to 9 hours. Like, they'll be there for days. And I've seen this with a lot of people of kind of like they're in that illusion of it's okay, it's all right, and people are kind of popping out of that. And I've seen this more and more, but I really do feel like we're going to see this even more so as we get closer to the middle of September. And then I would say kind of like the middle of October or so, Mars and Gemini will form a square with Neptune, and it's going to do it twice. One's going to be October 12th and one's going to be November 19th. And these are going to be kind of like bringing in uncertainty of people kind of like, I'm not liking the way things are going, I'm going to make some changes. And if they are not liking what's coming up, they're going to be ready to make some changes. I do feel like fear could hold some people back, but I don't feel like it's going to hold back as many people as I really think it could or should. It's one of those, a lot of people making some big changes of going like, oh, what's been holding me back from attaining my goal? And a lot of times what they're going to realize is it's either themselves or it's someone else, and they're going to be ready to make some big changes coming forward. Like I said, you're going to see more and more of this movement coming forward of like people like, well, why haven't I done this in the past? Why haven't I made these changes in the past? That's what I keep getting, is it's going to be much bigger and much more in depth than it has been in the past. And I think that's kind of the interesting part of this. It's one of those, sometimes people are appropriately judging themselves like, hey, I've been the one who's holding myself back. I'm the one who's doing all of this. But sometimes they'll do it like, okay, I think it's someone else. And a lot of times it's usually not the other person, it's you have given that person to kind of push you in the past, kind of like push you down in some way. And so they're just redoing that same idea. So it's one of those like, oh, you're afraid to start your own business. They're going to bring that up every time you think about starting your own business. And at some point people are like, I'm not dealing with this anymore. And if you're not going to support me, I'm out of here. I have seen this a lot lately. I will tell you that I have seen a lot of people kind of going through a lot of detoxes. And I will say not just body detoxes or liver detoxes or kidneys or whatever else. Like, I've seen a lot of that lately, but I've also seen people kind of do a detox on their mind and their thinking, kind of like not their physical heart, but kind of like their mental heart of like, how are they dealing with things, or how are they pushing changes through? How are they making changes come through on the other side? I guarantee you kind of, the energy of this is like, I'm ready to make some big changes. And I guarantee you a lot of people that have been addicted to things for a long time are going to be like all of a sudden just awakening of like, I'm not allowing this to keep me in fear anymore. I've seen this with a lot of clients, people that have been on medication for long periods of time, kind of going, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm going to change to something else. Or they've been addicted to drugs and alcohol, and they're kind of like, I'm just flipping this around. I'm not keeping that same energy anymore. I'm going to be making some changes. And I guarantee you these are going to be huge changes. These are not little bitty like, oh, I'm gonna, these are some big things. And a lot of times they've allowed the drugs and alcohol to keep them stuck in some way, shape, or form because they've been afraid. And it's like, as long as I'm afraid, it's okay to do all this because then I don't feel bad that I'm not moving forward. But I guarantee you this is going to be making some big changes, kind of leading them into different ideas and different choices. I guarantee you it's kind of like down different paths than they've done in the past. This is kind of like a really interesting one of like making some interesting changes, not only for themselves, but for their family as well. The first card I get is all about the moon, and this is our perception. Like I said, a lot of people have been perceiving that other people have been holding them back, and a lot of times it's really been themselves. Or maybe it could be that other person, but usually it's kind of like they got that idea from you, and so now they're choosing to kind of change that energy with you. This is the sun, and this is all about the source. We have always had the sources around us. We've always had our creator energy around us to kind of support us as we make changes. And if you didn't hook into that, it's one of those, a lot of people are like, well, I could have had a business like his or hers, or I could have made some different choices. And a lot of times what they're dealing with is kind of, I've been too afraid to make those changes or those choices, and now they're ready to make those changes, and that source energy will come in big time to support them. Next I get is, this is retrograde, and this is all about review. Retrogrades are all about review. We're talking about Neptune in retrograde, and this is all about reviewing and rethinking about and repairing things and refixing things. Kind of like, what do we want to change in our illusions and our delusions in our lives? Who are we blaming for these? What are the things that we really want to bring forward? And once you do, I guarantee you this is going to really bring some changes into your psychic abilities as well. This is going to really amp things up and really bring this energy in. Like I said, this is Neptune. This is all about our vision, kind of like, what is our version? I tell people, it's like people can see the same accident from so many different angles, see the same thing and talk about something completely different. And so it's kind of like, what is your vision? What are you looking at, and what are you choosing to change at this time frame? They keep coming in upside down. This is all about Virgo, and this is all about digesting information and kind of making changes. And this is what people have been doing in the past, bringing in new information, digesting it, kind of like incorporating that into their system, and kind of like, how can I make changes? How can I make this differently than I've made in the past? Or what can I do differently than what I've done in the past to kind of make some changes? This is Mercury, and this is all about messages. We have been getting many downloads from Creator Source. We have been getting a lot of updates from our alien friends to help us and move us forward, and hoping that we choose to change our energy. And I guarantee you there are a lot of messages out there from our angels and guides as well, kind of bringing in what are the changes that we want to do. This is Midhaven, and this is about the Pentacles. There are a lot of Pentacles of energy coming up, kind of like those peaks of energy. Like I said, September 16th is one, November 12th, and then November 19th is another one, where we are going to be kind of like at the peak of our changes. What are you going to change on that day? What are you going to choose to bring in differently than you have done in the past? This is the third house, and this is all about communication. The changes that you want to bring in, you have got to communicate them clearly with other people. And I will say clearly with other people of like-mindedness. If people are not ready to hear it, don't tell them your dreams, don't tell them your ambition, because they're not going to get it. So many times people tell me that, like, well, I told my mom about this, and I was like, has your mom supported you on any of this? And then she's like, no. Well, then why? Go talk to people that will support you through this. And not that you can't tell her, you need to tell her at the right time, when you have all your decisions already made, like, I've made these new choices. Then she's more likely to support you on that, or kind of support your ideas, but make sure that you are making the changes that you desire to make at this time frame, with the assistance of Neptune in retrograde. I thank you so much for talking to me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.